Well, welcome to the Cybersecurity Whisper for May 19th. Hope everyone is having a great week. Wanted to start off with a story this week about VPNs. Often in the classes I teach on the inside the mind of a hacker and the just general security awareness, one of the best practices is when you're at a coffee shop, airport, hotel, and you're using free Wi-Fi, that you always make sure you have a VPN turned on. And there are VPNs bundled with password managers and others. And some folks just use VPNs all the time for privacy as well. Well, as you might expect, the bad guys are going to target anything that there is a heavy usage of. And so it was, some security researchers did disclose this week that by creating, VPNs work by creating a virtual network that serves as an encrypted tunnel for communications. But the researchers at Leviathan Security say they've discovered a way to abuse this obscure feature built into the DHCP standard so that other users on the local network are forced to connect to their rogue DHCP server. So it's kind of like a man in the middle of a man in the middle on the VPN. The technique is to run a DHCP server on the same network as the targeted VPN user and to set the bad guy's DHCP config to use itself as a gateway. And so when the traffic hits the bad guy's gateway, they use the traffic forwarding rules on the DHCP server to pass that traffic through to a legitimate gateway while they sniff it or snoop on it. So again, if you're a highly valuable, target, anyone who's in a position of authority, or maybe even someone who's just a high net worth individual, that's certainly reasonable targets of attack. And if you're trying to do an attack, someone at a relatively high security company and that knew they typically go to a coffee or sandwich shop twice a week, it's a very effective tool in the toolbox. And it's probably, definitely being used currently because it's not very challenging or difficult to do. It's just thinking outside the box. And so, again, if you successfully executed this attack on a network, it would allow an attacker to see all the target's traffic and the browsing activity. And that's because the vast majority of the websites visited by the target, the content's still encrypted anyway. And so you might not be able to see it, but you would at least be able to see the source and the destination address of the traffic. So how do you minimize this? We always like to give you solutions on this podcast as well. Certainly it would be to use, interestingly, if you're using an Android device with the VPN, that apparently ignores the DHCP option 121, or what I've always just come to do now is just use the hotspot on your phone. Most all of us have unlimited data, and that's still going to be your most secure option. Big news this week with Palo Alto acquiring IBM's security or QRadar product. Very interesting. QRadar's been around forever. I used QRadar many, many years ago and loved their SIEM product before IBM bought it. And now Palo Alto has purchased it and is going to actually discontinue it. They're going to force everyone that has QRadar to move over and use their Palo Alto product, which is going to be very interesting. And so the Palo Alto CEO said, look, the security industry is at an inflection point where AI will transform businesses and deliver outcomes not seen before. And so it's a moment to accelerate growth in innovation. Very, very interesting. It said Palo Alto is going to incorporate the Watson X large language models into its Cortex platform. And so it's going to force all of the current QRadar users over to Cortex. Very, very interesting. I see a lot more of this happening this year. There's too many security vendors. There's also talks that Wiz, which is a CSPM provider, is going to be buying Lacework, one of its competitors, but a much smaller competitor. So there's going to be a lot of consolidation this year. These companies just can't continue to survive. There's too many of them. Looking at some more reports that came out this week, you talk about remote access tools really being the intrusion point to blame for most ransomware attacks. And these are self-managed VPNs, whether it be from Cisco to Citrix. They were 11 times more likely to be linked to a ransomware attack last year, a company called AppBay Research found. So again, 3 in 5 attacks last year were remote access tools were the primary intrusion point. And the attackers targeted perimeter access tools in 2023, but shifted their focus from remote desktop protocols to self-managed VPNs. So these are on-premise VPNs, again, linked to 3 in 5 ransomware attacks. Attackers are going to go after the same things. If you have a city that has walls around it, if you're going to go after the gate because the gate's a weaker port than the actual wall. And so this is something that the AppBay founder and CEO said last week at an event in the RSA conference there in San Francisco. So again, if you've got these VPNs, these self-managed VPNs, you need to make sure you're patching them, that you're securing them and locking them down. It's interesting that Microsoft is warning again of hacker misusing the quick assist, which isn't the first time this has happened, in the Black Basta ransomware attacks. So these financially motivated attackers have deployed the tool in social engineering attacks going back to April. And Microsoft is now warning that a financially motivated hacker has misused the company's Quick Assist client management tool in social engineering attacks, ultimately leading to the deployment of this Black Basta ransomware. Remember, Quick Assist users can remotely connect to Windows or Mac OS with another person. And the attacks begin using voice phishing or vishing, and they lead to malicious use of remote monitoring tools like Screen Connect or Net Support Manager. And the hackers also deploy malware like Cobalt Strike or Quackbot before they launch the actual ransomware. And this disclosure from Microsoft comes just after a week after the FBI and the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency warned about this ransomware being deployed in hundreds of attacks against critical infrastructure and healthcare companies worldwide. Shifting gears a little, it's interesting that the low-tech tactics are still the top thing that's being used in hacking companies. You talk about USB-based attacks, QR codes for phishing, social engineering. They continue to be some of the most effective, and they're really becoming more dangerous with the help of AI. And so, these low-tech attack vectors, they're really being adopted by the criminals to overcome security defenses because they can evade detection often until it's too late. Think about USB-based attacks, the QR code, social engineering. This was even confirmed last week in the Verizon data breach investigations report that these tried and true tactics continue to be successful, underscoring the fact that organizations have to remain vigilant against these well-worn methods, even as the threats posed by AI just continue to shake things up. So again, you need to make sure you've got effective ways to block USB attacks, that you're scanning QR codes and emails, and that those are being blocked as well. And continue to train your employees on smishing, vishing, phishing, all the different social engineering attacks that your employees are going to face on a daily basis. And finally, it's always been a challenge that cyber pros face when to share intel. For example, when you're having an active attack, when you're getting breached, maybe when you're even being ransomed, the detail and the speed with which you're able to share this information really can prevent future attacks or even others in your same industry from being attacked. So we understand businesses aren't always keen on this transparency. There's legal challenges, but the bad guys have a phenomenal way of sharing information quickly and distributing it amongst their networks. And in order for us to combat this ongoing increase in ransomware and other attacks, if you're not a member of an ISAC, an information sharing and analysis center based on your industry, with FS ISAC or Health ISAC, Retail ISAC, all the different ISACs, you need to have a quick, efficient way to share when somebody's being attacked. And you can quickly send maybe a generic email that says, hey, be on the lookout for quick assist. We just got hit with this, or we think we might be being hit with this, or just whatever your legal department will allow you to say. It'll help those in your industry to look out for those same things quicker than when it's actually posted maybe by the media 2 or 3 days later. And now 20 or 30 or 40 or 100 companies have been hit where you could have helped those companies. So it's kind of, we're all in this together. Is really the common theme in wanting to help our fellow security peers. Well, we certainly can be competitors for the products that we're selling, or maybe we're in the same service industry. We want to work together to help combat the bad guys. And so hopefully you're in an organization or in an area that can share this information. And when you consume it at your company or through your 24/7 security provider, you can actually put it to quick use, because threat sharing has come a long way. In 20 years, it used to be, even if you shared the information, it wouldn't really help an organization. They wouldn't really know what to do with it. But we've got ways to feed it into our SIMs, into our SOCs, and to just take quick action based on the information that's shared. So with that, I hope you have a great week, and be sure and like and share, subscribe, ask any questions that you have.